A mother's choice. I am an old man now. My hands are weak and my back is bent, but my mind still remembers the past. I remember a young woman named Sarah. She was my daughter, and she was full of dreams. When she was a child, she always said, "One day I will be a doctor." She loved reading books and helping people. She would sit by the window at night, studying with a small lamp. Her eyes were bright, and her heart was full of hope. But when Sarah turned 17, life changed. Her father died suddenly, and her mother became very sick. She had 2 small brothers who needed her. They cried a lot and were always hungry. There was no money for school, no money for food. Sarah had to make a choice. She looked at her books one last time and closed them. Then she said, "I must take care of my family now." From that day, she worked every morning and every night. She cooked, cleaned, and washed clothes. She went to the market to sell fruit and bread. She took care of her mother and helped her brothers with everything. Her hands became tired and rough, but she never stopped. She smiled and said, "I am fine," even when she was not. She gave all of her time and love to her family. Sometimes I saw her sit alone. She held her old school books in her lap. Her eyes looked far away, as if she was thinking about her dream, but she never said a word. She just closed the book, kissed her brothers, and stood up to work again. She gave up her dream, but she gave life to others. Sarah never became a doctor, but to me, she was more. She healed her family with her love. She gave everything and asked for nothing, and that is why I say she was the bravest woman I ever knew. Years passed, and the little boys grew older. They went to school with clean clothes and full stomachs. They did not know how hard Sarah worked for them. She woke up before the sun and stayed awake after the moon came. She never complained, not even once. When the boys asked her, "Why don't you rest, sister?" she smiled and said, "One day you will understand." Sarah's mother got better, but she was still weak. She could not walk far or carry heavy things. Sarah helped her every day. She washed her face, cooked her food, and sat with her in the evening. They talked about the past and about the future. Sometimes her mother said, "You gave your life to us, my child." Sarah only smiled and said, "It was my choice." One day, her youngest brother came home with tears. A boy at school had laughed at him because his shoes were old. Sarah listened, then quietly took off her own shoes and gave them to him. "These are yours now," she said. She walked barefoot to the market the next day. People watched, but she didn't care. Her heart was strong, even when her feet were not. The brothers grew taller. They began to help more at home. Sarah was proud of them. She said, "You are kind and smart. You will go far." She saved every coin she earned. She didn't buy new clothes or sweets. She saved for their school books, their bags, and bus rides. She said no to herself so she could say yes to them. Some nights I saw her sit by the window. The moonlight touched her face. Her eyes were full of love and sadness. She looked at the stars and whispered something I could not hear. Maybe she was speaking to her dreams. Maybe she was saying goodbye. The boys finished school. They found small jobs and started bringing home money. Sarah was happy but still worked hard. She said, Now I am not alone." The house was full of laughter again. They ate together, talked about their day, and made plans for the future. Sarah's face began to shine. Her back was still tired, but her heart felt light. One evening her middle brother said, "Sister, you gave up everything for us. You never lived for yourself." Sarah looked at him for a moment. Then she said softly, "When you love someone, you don't count the cost. I had dreams, yes, but you were more important." Her brother held her hand and said, "We will make you proud." Life got a little easier. The brothers helped pay the bills. They brought gifts for their mother and Sarah: a red scarf, a pair of shoes, a soft blanket. Sarah smiled like a child when she opened the gifts, but she always said, "You didn't need to do this." She was not used to being the one receiving. Giving had become her way of life. One cold winter, Sarah fell sick. Her hands shook and her voice was low. The brothers took her to a doctor. He said she needed rest. "She is tired," he said, "very tired. Too many years of work." The boys looked at each other. For the first time they saw how much their sister had given. They felt pain in their hearts. They took turns sitting by her side. They cooked for her, cleaned the house, and brought her tea. Sarah laughed and said, "You are better than I was." The boys said, "You taught us." She looked at them with pride. Her eyes said what her lips did not. She was at peace. Weeks passed. Sarah stayed in bed more often. Her body was weak, but her heart was full. The boys stayed close. They read to her, told her funny stories, and made her smile. "You are strong boys now," she said. "I can rest." The house was quiet but warm. Love filled every corner. One morning, Sarah asked for her old book. It was a small book with poems. She opened it and said, "I used to read these when I was young. I dreamed of travelling, learning, and seeing the world." Her voice was soft. The boys listened with care. They had never heard her talk about her dreams. She closed the book and said, "I do not feel sad. I gave my dreams to you. Now your dreams are mine." Her youngest brother held her hand. "We will dream for you," he said. Sarah smiled. It was a smile full of peace, love, and quiet strength. That night it snowed. The street outside was white and calm. Inside, the boys sat close to Sarah. They talked in low voices. She slept with a gentle breath. The oldest brother whispered, "She gave us everything. We must live well for her." The next day the boys woke up early. Sarah was gone. She had passed away in her sleep. Her face was calm and her hands were warm. There were no tears in her eyes. She looked like she was still dreaming. The house felt empty, but also full of her love. The neighbours came. They brought flowers and food. Many people cried. She was strong, they said. She gave her life for her brothers. The boys stood together. They held each other and stayed quiet. They had lost their sister, their mother, their everything. The oldest brother said, "We will not waste her gift." He began working at a bakery. The middle brother cleaned cars. The youngest went to school every day. They worked hard and helped each other. At night, they talked about Sarah and her stories. She was still with them. One evening, they found her old box. Inside were pictures, letters, and a small notebook. In the notebook, she had written her dreams. "I wanted to write books," she wrote. "I wanted to teach children. I wanted to be happy." The boys read every page with care. They made a promise. "We will live her dreams. We will make her proud." They smiled with tears in their eyes. It was not the end. It was a new beginning. Years passed. The boys grew into kind and strong men. They never forgot Sarah. They worked hard, just like she taught them. The oldest opened a small bakery. He named it Sarah's Bread. People came from far to buy his bread. He always smiled and said, "This is my sister's dream." The middle brother started a school for poor children. He remembered how Sarah gave up her school. "No child should stop learning," he said. The children loved him. He taught them to read, write, and dream big. The youngest brother became a writer. He wrote simple stories about love, family, and hope. His first book was about Sarah. It was called The Sister Who Gave Everything. Many people read it and cried. He always said, "This story is not just mine. It is for everyone who has known love." One evening, the three brothers sat together. The sun was setting. They drank tea and laughed. "She would be proud," the oldest said. "Yes," the others said, "she lives in all we do." That night the wind blew softly, the stars shone bright, and in the quiet air it felt like Sarah was there, smiling.